as a biller, no matter if you're local, if you're in the office, or if you're outsourced, you are the partner to that provider.
Thank you for joining me, everybody. Today I'm with Natalie Casale, the owner of All Heart Medical Billing Solutions, LLC. She has multiple specialties that they specialize in. I'll put a list of the specialties up on the screen. Thank you, Natalie. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
No, thank you. It's my pleasure being here.
Tell us a little bit about your business. So I know you provide multiple specialties and you bill for multiple specialties, but give us a little idea about what your business does in Florida.
So most of my background is in HCC coding. And so the billing aspect was added new, but I've been actually a certified professional coder for the past 13 years.
Okay, so I talk to people all the time, especially medical billing businesses that are up and running. And then I also talk to a lot of practitioners, and they give me a lot of feedback about things that they're unhappy with the current outsourcing medical billing team. And it runs a gamut from their claims not being filed to not being able to get a hold of their medical billing company to the denials. So Natalie, what are some of the common mistakes that practitioners do when they do their own billing that you've noticed once you've taken over their account and you go back to try and fix some of these mistakes they've done themselves? What are those common things?
Well, some of the common things that I've seen from practitioners is basically you actually pay what you get for. So you basically have, if you actually want to get a student or you want to do the internal billing yourself and you get somebody with not as many years qualified, but just not enough experience, whether it's in your field, unless you're willing to train somebody brand new so you know what it is that you want, you'd have to be a professional who knows both the front end, meaning your work as a professional, and then the billing aspect of it so that you can train the biller the way that you'd like to be trained. Right. But most of the comments, basically, you get what you pay for. If you choose somebody with minimal experience, you're going to get things that are going to be left behind. They don't go through the processes of having all of the things that need to be in order for this claim in the cycle to get paid, and that way the money and the revenue comes back in.
You touched on something really important. You said they're going to have to train them the way they want it to be done. And guess what? You're a practitioner, so you can train them the way you want it to be done. So you're going to train them with gaps. They're going to come with gaps because they don't have the experience. They may not even have the correct education or training. And then you end up losing so much more, thousands and thousands of dollars, because the medical billing, you don't lose $10 and $100. You lose thousands when you don't get the right person in the right place. So you get what you pay for, but it pays off in the end with your reimbursement and how much you can actually collect of your allowable.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, so you're located in Florida, but you are a multi-specialty medical billing company. You take clients from all over the world. The country. What is the process of practitioners coming to your website and signing up for your services? What should they do? And how long does it take to get them set up from the initial phone call to you starting on their accounts?
Now, the initial, depending on the transition, it could take a week, but I do recommend a lot of things happen between the month as far as you trying to get the process of transferring all the information to you. And then sometimes with that, it comes a lot of gaps too. There's a lot of questions you have to ask. I prefer in the beginning, starting a client, that I do 2 weekly calls, 2 weekly Zooms, 2 weekly meetings, just for the first 3 weeks to get to any questions that they may have, any questions that I may have, all on the table. And then I go down where it's once a week. I have one client that likes to meet with me every single Monday, and she will go through everything that she needs, or that wasn't done, or that was missed, or that she wants to have completed before our next following meeting. So it just depends on the client, but I like to start off with meetings. That way I can actually also get to know the client and they get to know me and how I do my work. But at the same time, we work a process together so that way everything is smoothly and efficiently run. So that way it actually gets, to the point that it'll run smoothly. And then that maybe one phone call every 2 weeks, and They may not want to hear from me until, the following month then.
Yeah.
So that's, so it's just, but starting off, I prefer 2 days a week. I know it's a lot of overbearing in the beginning, but if you want the work done the way you want it to work, you need to, communication is very key.
Yeah.
Especially when you're running something that is nationwide, because I am not, I'm based in Florida, but I may have a client in Arizona, and I may not meet with them. Time difference is off, so we have some communication issues already to begin with. So from that's why I like to base starting off my meetings with my clients about 2 times a week, and then we tamper them off. And like I said, it may be something that at the end of the day, they just want to meet with me once a month to kind of recap our monthly income and our monthly cycle revenue.
I noticed that too, when the medical billing company is accessible, right? That communication is super high volume, right? Because they're nervous, they're already behind. The previous billing company either wasn't doing their job, or they did something incorrectly with their own billing and they put themselves in a hole. But once you talk to them through all of those points, they don't even really want to talk to you after a while, because they know you can do the job and they're like, oh, that's fine. But I like that you brought that out, because a lot of the practitioners, the doctors and clinic managers who call me, that's their main concern. They talk about they can't get a hold of their billing company. Here's a thing that I've noticed that a lot of billing companies do. I don't know what kind of technique this is, but a lot of them do it, where it's your fault that you messed up on your billing. So if a practitioner is calling a billing company, it's if they can get a hold of them, it'll be like, well, I mean, but we told you, I don't know why. Or they'll ask you the same questions back, the questions you're asking. So it's like, at the end of it, the practitioner doesn't really understand what's going on in the billing world. And then at the end of the phone call, they're very unhappy, they're unsatisfied, or they come out with the idea that maybe they did something incorrectly. To me, I feel like that's a real common thread. So when I talk to people like you and I go, okay, so when a practitioner calls, what they should get is this kind of transparency. They should be able to Zoom and see their biller. Their biller should call them so much that they're like, you got it. You don't need to call me, Natalie. Like, I trust you. But I even say for medical billing businesses who start out, like, you want to talk to your clients all the time, because if you can establish trust and like you do, then they allow you to do the job where, they trust you. And that's more valuable than ducking and dodging calls, because a happy customer will stay with you for a very long time. And so I really like that I talk to a lot of practitioners and billers. They have that kind of way about them, but I appreciate you saying that, because I know a lot of practitioners are looking for that type of communication.
Oh, I'm the type that's accessible all the time. I even forward the office numbers over to my cell phone. So, and I won't say too much, but sometimes I've answered the phone. I had a team that I used to lead one time, and they were based out of a different, I'm like, it's like 3 hours behind and it's midnight. And she's like, I can't get in. And I'm like, hold on, let me just wake up for 2 seconds. And I got on my computer and I just, let me figure it out. And we figured it out together. So it's accessibility. If your partner, I mean, technically, because as a biller, no matter if you're local, if you're in the office, or if you're outsourced, you are the partner to that provider.
Exactly.
You are hand in hand working with them. They are the left hand, you are the right hand. And if you guys don't work together, it's 2 hands in 2 different places, and you can't. So it doesn't get done, and it doesn't get done properly. So so they need to make, but it's also making the time. We understand you're busy as providers, but you also have to make the time for you to have that relationship with your billers or with your outsourced company. That way there is no question of, well, I don't know, did you do it? Well, I don't know, did you do it? So, you know what I mean? So that's why you have to make time for each other, whether it's a text message, whether it's an email, whether it's any kind of form of communication. You send me smoke signals, I'm fine with that, as long as I can read between the lines. As long as you send me some type of form of communication of what you're happy about, what you're not happy about, we can always work through anything.
Yeah. And a lot of people will hear that and be like, well, I have to have my personal time. And you do. If you can get that kind of stuff out of the way, and you let them know that you're available, that stuff, it does taper off. Do you think a doctor is working all the time or a practitioner? No, they have these little times when they have like little emergencies. And if you can be available for those, it goes a long way in terms of word of mouth, their growth, your growth, the reputation of your company. It's a good thing. So I like hearing that.
I have also a personal thing that I'm a workaholic.
Okay.
So I will stay up late and I will wake up early for my clients. So that's just but that's just me. That's the personal, I work for, for myself and for my family. So I am always available for everybody else. So I will work late and I get up early, and, there's no in between.
Yeah. I mean, if that's your style, that's my style too. Then that's your style. Makes us happy. Okay. So now if a practitioner is ready to sign up for your services and they want to get started with All Heart Medical Billing Solutions, what are the prices that they could expect and the price range in which you bill for them?
So right now what we have is we have a quote center within my website at allheartmbs.com. And from there, I basically ask, they get the information to get a quote. I go in and I ask a little bit more information about their practice and their, as far as what they expected in, how many patients they see per day, how large their practice is. And I base that off of the percentage that we're going to do, where it is percentage based for collection part of it. We do charge differently, whether if I'm sending out statements, if you want me to go ahead and do statement billing, that is at a different, percentage price. And then also little things here and there, auditing. I also do, our company does auditing. So auditing takes time. And, the value of each of my auditors is precious. So I need to make sure that they're being compensated as well as reviewing that charge for you. We know that those, especially if you're doing risk adjustment, that's very important and very high key that you're picking up all those HEDIS codes, the PQRS codes. Also, if you're doing any of HCC coding, which is basically need to make sure that we're picking up all those diagnosis codes to pay or for the client for each chart or each medical record.
Yeah, that sounds good. What would you say to a person who says, well, my current outsourcing medical billing company charges me 3, 4, 5, 6% for their medical billing, and I think you're overcharging me? What do you normally say? I know what I say to practitioners when they say that to me, but what would your response to them be? Because there are going to be some practitioners who watch this and want to pay 3, 4, 5% for their billing.
What I would say to a practitioner who wants a low percentage as a 3, 4, 5% is basically, what is it that your biller is doing for you, as opposed to what I, as our new outsourcing company, can do for you. So it's a difference of who it is that you are outsourcing. You get what you pay for. If you're ending up paying for somebody who is going to do a 3% job, they're going to do a 3% job. They're not going to do the quality work that you want done, so that way that revenue cycle comes in, it's higher and better. So it's also, to me, it's always you get what you pay for. So the minimal you pay, you don't get as many people attached to your account. So it doesn't, well, I wouldn't say previous for me, because I'm one of those that I will treat your account, whether you're a low or high, every account is priority. So I try to make sure that every client gets the same benefits that, from A to Z that they get. But it's mostly only based on the size of the facility, and then also on the scope of work that I have to do. If I have to do a lot of cleanup work because your previous biller did not or send out anything or work denials or work any of the timely filings, I mean, that's right there money that you've already lost, and I have to try to account for that. And if I can't account for that, then we've lost on both sides. So it's hurtful. So
Right.
That's why I try to stay at a range that I know I'm going to do the best quality work for you, because it's in my hands.
Right. And I like that you pointed out you've already lost that money, because that 3%, you've already reached my percentage with your denials. So you pay them 3% and you're collecting at 70% of all of your allowable, and you have 100% of allowable and you're only collecting at 70. Well, you're pretty much paying that medical biller 20%. You're not paying them 3%. And it does affect the amount of people attached to your account. So is this biller supposed to do A to Z and then follow up and clean up? But how would they have time to do that if, they've got 700 clients looking for 3%? They're not going to have time, and they're not going to have the staff, or they're not going to be able to afford the staff to do a good job. And I like when you said, what are they doing for you, as opposed to what you're doing for them. I've spoken to practitioners who say they have to do their own eligibility and off before they send it off to their biller. But their outsourcing billers are charging them 3 or 4%. So it's like, that's where your percentage is going. And you're not, pretty much most of the time, you're not doing it correctly. So you're losing your money in denials because you're doing your off, and you're not asking about exclusions, and you're not asking about all kinds of things that would deny even after an off and an eligibility request have been done. So that 3% is turning into much more.
Of course.
So we're currently in a pandemic. So a lot of our practitioners are doing telehealth now. But, even though telehealth has been kind of deregulated a lot, which has been really helpful, people are still having problems with it. What's some advice and practical tips or information you could give to practitioners who are still struggling with their telehealth?
Some of the tips that I can actually give them is to make sure that they have all the information correctly, because telehealth, even with the pandemic, some of them are mandated. They're supposed to pay for the billing for the visits, but we have those that still don't. They're choosing to do whatever they're going to do as far as insurances. But also, if those charts are not correct from the front staff or from the professional side, 100%, they're not going to get paid on the billing side. So a lot of the intake before the outtake goes in needs to be coordinated correctly. And it's also as far as a professional physician and how he wants to claim or do his visits, or what it is that they want to code for that visit.
That's what I found as well. If you're a practitioner out there and located in the 50 states, and you are looking for an outsourced medical billing provider who can give you this type of quality and attention, make sure to give Natalie Casale a call. Her website and all of her information will be down below. All Heart Medical Billing Solutions, located in Florida. Thank you for joining us, Natalie.
It was my pleasure. I had a great time, and thank you so much for doing this for us. It's really hard not to be seen, especially in this pandemic. I feel like us billers and coders are kind of hidden in the background. So this is a great way and opportunity for those physicians to get to know us face to face and see who we are.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take a little bit of the mystery out too, because a lot of practitioners think that everything is overseas, which is, there's good companies that do stuff overseas, but they fear, they don't see any local businesses that do it, and they kind of want to keep it local sometimes. And I think this is just a great opportunity to show them, hey, there are really good local billing companies here, and sometimes you just need to get introduced to them to know that they're here and here to help.
We're always here to help.
Eco talk.